Welcome to R&B Sauce. This is DJ Pineapplez, and today we have a very special guest on the show, an artist that really impacted my life with one of the best albums of all time. She has created timeless classics and has made a huge impact on R&B. How are you, Teedra Moses?
I am very good, Miss Pineapplez. I'm blessed.
Pineapple. You know what? You come to London quite a lot as well, don't you?
Yeah, I think outside of America, this is one of my best markets. Yeah,
we love R&B out here, though.
Yes.
We really do appreciate it.
I agree. I think that I genuinely think that the UK's love for music is just different than anywhere. Specifically, America. I think America has a lot of artists. You can just see them all the time. They're in your country, so they're here performing for you. You know, you have access, right?
Yeah.
And I think the difference might be, I can't speak for you guys, that you don't. You have your own artists, but those artists that are kind of like more worldwide, you don't have as much access. And so when you see it or when you learn of it, you appreciate it different. You don't take it for granted as much. And I don't think you need someone to say, hey, this is great. I don't think you need it to be pushed in your face for you to love it. And that's what I love about the music lovers of the UK. I mean, London specifically, but the entire UK.
I agree. You're so right. I feel like even with like trends and stuff, we don't jump on stuff as much. We kind of do our own thing, and we stay true to like the real soulfulness.
Yes. You like them. The authenticity wins over here.
Definitely. And you know what? Shea Universe is supporting you, so shout out to her.
Yes, I love her. She's so good. She's so amazing. As well. I mess up her name every time.
Manelia.
Yes. She's amazing. I just learned of her at the Mobile Awards. I didn't even know of her before then.
You know Sasha Keeble as well then.
Oh, I love Sasha Keeble. I love her. I love Nail. Is that how you say it?
Nail,
Yes, I love her. I mean, I pay attention because I come over here. I can kind of like find, without trying, new artists or artists that are doing things that I like. And I feel like over the past 10 years, you guys have really been pushing great R&B music in a way where I think we have great artists too as well, but kind of the mainstream was focusing on more watered down R&B, and you guys went straight for the soul, you know?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So shout out to the UK. They definitely are doing it.
For sure. So cheers to the UK.
Yes. Cheers. Let me do my little, no, I haven't even got any water in here. Okay. I can't even cheers.
Okay, I'm going to drink for you.
So Teedra, your debut album, Complex Simplicity, is such a legendary classic in R&B. And here we are 20 years later, and you're able to still tour from it. And all the fans come out and celebrate it with you. How does it feel to have created an album that has stood the test of time and remains such a staple in R&B?
I feel very grateful to be a vessel. You know, I feel very grateful that something I poured out of my heart sincerely and genuinely penetrated the way it did and still does. I feel really blessed that people still want to hear that album and want to celebrate it with me. And I know that from my experience over the past 20 years, it has affected people in a lot of positive ways. And I feel like it's an album that can be found. And I'm speaking as a person that, I'm not speaking as a person that wrote it. I'm speaking like an out of myself experience because I know that at that time I was very sad and going through a lot of things, but this was what was poured into me. And then I just poured it out. And I think it's been genuinely helpful to people throughout their lives. And younger people finding it and having the same experiences that I was having when I was 20-something years old, you know, and it being a great guide to them. And it's super cool, but I don't see it like, oh, you, me. I don't see it like that. I feel like God is great because he poured something into me that I could pour out and help people for a timeless amount of time. I don't think it's very easy to make timeless music, and I didn't intend to do that, but it happened, and I'm grateful for it, you know.
You definitely did. Like, when I think back when that album dropped, like, oh my gosh, the impact, like I said, that it had on me. I used to have it on repeat, like singing every song word for word. It literally is like a no skips album.
Thank you.
Like such a classic. And as part of a 20-year celebration, you're bringing Complex Simplicity to the stage here in Shepherd's Bush in London. Yes. And how does it feel for you to be back on the road and connecting with your fans?
That is definitely the highlight. That's the highlight. Because you have to understand, I've been doing this for 20 years, you know, through other projects outside of Complex Simplicity. And as people I'll see that I saw at the beginning that I'll see scattered throughout the 20 years. And then there's some people I saw in the beginning and they kind of like around the 5th year kind of dropped off. Well, now that we're back at 20, everybody everybody. It's like a reunion for us, you know, everybody, and new people that just found an album 2 months ago since Tiny Desk or something like that, you know. So it's really cool to see everybody celebrate with me, because I don't allow myself to celebrate. I don't get caught up in whatever people think is great, and I don't think about that. I always have kept my head down, keep moving, and getting to wherever it is I was trying to get to. At this point, I'm not trying to get nowhere, but back then that's how I felt. But now I'm stopping and I'm appreciating being appreciated. You know what I mean? I'm appreciating people appreciating my artwork. So it's gratitude is the only thing I can say. Gratitude is what I feel.
And you know, you're such an incredible live performer. Like, I've seen you a few times.
Thank you.
And every time, do you know what? Even like going back when I was saying when I first heard the album, like something that really stood out to me was your tone. Like, I love a sweet tone. And your tone is so beautiful. And also, shout out to your backing singer, Jay Black.
Jay Black, yes. He's been here the whole 20 years. He has an amazing tone as well.
He does.
You know, he's a person that our voices just blend really well together. And he's not just a background singer. He keeps me together. A teacher, you know, this is where you're supposed to start. You know, or like, I don't understand. I'm caught up in whatever I'm doing. I'm forgetting the first line. So I look at him like, and he goes, whatever the first line he'll give it, you know, as well as just hyping me up. He hypes the crowd. Like, he's more than a background singer. He's a staple in the show.
Yeah, he definitely is. Like, seeing him live as well. Like I'm saying, you know, listening to him, I'm bringing him up to you, because seeing him live, I was like, wow, I need to talk about him. Like,
yes.
the vocals.
Thank you so much, because he's a major part of the show, and in times he does this with other people as well. One of the most notable people is Snoop Dogg, and you know, he tours a lot, he moves a lot, and so sometimes I have to do it without Jay Black, and it is the worst feeling in the world, but we make it through.
Yeah, do you know what? The background singers, shout out to them, because
the band,
exactly,
and the band. Like, there's things that even if you came to see me at a show, you're getting so much more. Like, I might be the main part of the course, right? But there's all these different sides that just make it so amazing. I make it a point to play with killers.
Yes.
You know, I don't play with people because they might be. No, I play with killers, no matter how much they cost. You know, because I want to give you an experience that you will remember and want to come back to. It's brand building, you know what I mean? So I shout out to all the people that I've ever played on stage with, but specifically the ones I'm playing with right now.
Do you know what? I find that so important. Like me, I go to a lot of shows, and if there's no band, it just is not the same. Like, you love to hear an arrangement. Like, sometimes you hear something live, it's like different to how you hear it on a track, and it brings it to life.
It does.
So, do you know, a track that really stands out to me on Complex Simplicity is You'll Never Find, featuring Jadakiss. And I know that track samples Alicia Myers' track Better Woman or Better Fool, which gives it such a classic feel. Do you remember the process of creating that track and how you decided to incorporate that sample into the song?
Well, Paul Pauly decided to incorporate that sample, and he sent it to me, and I just started to write. You know, like, our process is basically, and that's still my process to this day. You send me the track, and I just, you know, elevate my mind, and I just kind of start freestyling to it. And I had so much raw emotion in me at that time. You know, your first album, you have your entire life to write it. Yeah. You know, so I had a lot of raw emotion in me at the time. And so when that track came about, basically I just was in my red room. I painted my room red at the time, and I just and I had mirrors. My closet doors were sliding mirrors, you know, and I just kind of would look at myself and tell me what you know. That just came out. Oh, Cat Daddy, because that's how we talk in New Orleans. We would say Cat Daddy. What's up, Cat Daddy? You know, that's how we talk. So I just kind of just spoke to the emotions I had at the time for the person that I was dealing with. But when I speak these emotions to a specific person, it's never like verbatim. I create an idea and a scenario of this person. It doesn't mean that that's a specific person. You know, like in that song, the way it comes across is more like I'm talking to a drug dealer. That's what it sounds like. But I'm just talking to a dude hustling. That's out hustling more than he's taking care of me, you know, and that's really what it was. But
exactly, that the pre-hook, you talk about that.
Yeah.
So about your man hugging blocks all night when he should be home. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And you said about having a red room.
Yeah.
Is that like Did you do it for like inspiration, or was that just
I did
like
it because all my walls, I had just moved into this place and all my walls were white and my mom had just died and I thought I was going crazy. The white walls were too clear, they were too much of a canvas for my thoughts. So when I painted the room red, I painted every room, but my room particularly, I painted red and it just kind of just was, this is my favorite color, you know? And so it, and it's passionate and it just kind of, it was just a great backdrop for me pushing out the emotions I had in a more positive way.
And with You'll Never Find, so you had Jadakiss on that. How did that feature come about?
My A&R at the time, who was actually one of my very good friends, Brian Leach, he was like, we should get Jadakiss. And I was like, okay. I didn't really think much about it. Jadakiss was on everybody's project at the time, you know, songs at the time. So I guess he was that guy. But I loved the lot, but I didn't really think about that. Like, you have to understand, I didn't do music before I started doing music.
Yeah.
I started doing music at the same time music that came out, you know. I didn't sing in church. I didn't do jam sessions. I didn't do recording sessions with people before. The first song I ever wrote and recorded is on that album. So I'm just not thinking about these things. I'm not thinking about who's going to feature on it. I'm going to let you do that because I'm just trying to figure out singing it right and what I want to say. You know, I didn't really think about all the things that I know now to think about. So that was a call from the label to just get Jadakiss.
That's incredible, though, to think that, because listening to the album, like I'm saying, one of the best R&B albums of all time. Like,
I did think about the songwriting. Okay. I selected every track, you know, all those things. I executive produced the album, but it was more like particular to the creativity. Yeah. Not really the order of how things are going.
Okay. So do you know what? Another track that stands out to me is Take Me with Raphael Saadiq. Mm-hmm. How did you get connected with him and how did that collaboration come about?
That was actually the last song we did for the album. And I was at a friend's Christmas party, very intimate Christmas party in Echo Park in California. And Erica Connors is actually her name. And she's friends with Raphael as well. And we were at the Christmas party. And at a certain point, without me knowing, I had this sampler of my first album. She put on the sampler. And I just wanted to just melt into the wall because I was very embarrassed. Till this day, I don't like when people listen to my music when I'm around. It's very weird for me. I don't hate it, but I don't like that kind of attention when I don't want that kind of attention. I'm okay with the attention when I'm supposed to get it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But not in my private moments. I'm okay with not being the focal point, right? And so he asked her, "Who is this?" And she told, it was, you know, I wasn't standing there, but she told him it was me. And so we kind of went outside to do a smoke cypher or something like that. And I just saw him kind of looking at me from head to toe, kind of getting into me. Not in a weird way, but just checking me out. And then things I said, I saw him, he would make a face like that. So the next day she told him, he asked her if she would, to ask me if I would come to the studio. And we just started creating from there because I think he just kind of got into the vibe because I'm still raw. But I was unapologetically raw back then. Yeah, so I think he was like, "Oh, she's interesting. Let's make some music." And then I was supposed to. I wrote that song because at the time he had Truth Hurts on his label. I wrote that song for Truth Hurts, and I went in to lay it. And he was talking to someone like this, and I sang the first line, "Winter's here," and he just kind of fell out of his chair. It was a tall chair, and I just remember him just dramatic, you know. and then when I came out, I was singing. He was like, "Well, that's your song." He's like, "That song is yours. I can't even hear anybody else singing it." So that's how we got to that point. And then I'd only written. Because I start with just verse and hooks. Then I figure out the rest in the studio. And I'd only written a verse and hook. And he's like, "I'm going to get on this record." And that's kind of how we went from there.
Wow. So that song was originally for Truth Hurts. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is your record, though.
I mean, I'll take it.
And do you know what? Even listening to that song, I love the vocal pan on it. So when you come in, it's on the right, and then when Raphael comes in, it's on the left. Yeah. And it feels very conversational and someone's going back and forth.
That was definitely him. He chose to do that. But I remember back in the days when it was stereo. And so you would have, at the record store, they would be playing one side of the
Okay.
stereo. So it's according to which side they played, who you heard, who you didn't hear. And so sometimes it just be the music playing while he was.
So like one verse would get cut out.
Exactly.
But it's such a unique thing to
It
do,
is.
though.
And so now it's great because you're probably listening through headphones or something that's more, it's going up one line.
Exactly. It's like AirPods and you're getting like the full experience of that track. So do you know what? I have to talk about No More Tears. Like I remember being younger and like singing that song like full volume. It's such an amazing track and it really captures the feeling of like being fed up in a relationship or wanting to move on but still like struggling with it emotionally. When you were writing from it, was that like from a personal experience?
Yeah, that whole album was from personal experiences. It was particularly, when I was writing that album, I didn't think I was writing it towards my children's father. I was just writing songs, you know. But that song felt like it would, even back then, it felt like it was towards him and what we were going through at the time. And I had not just cried over him. I cried over my mom. I cried over being a young mom and not having the help I needed and just not being happy with life. I cried a lot, right? And but particularly to him, I wasn't going to deal with the crap that he was selling me at that time. Like I was done with that. And if you listen to the hook, I'm saying my chorus, I'm saying happy sipping, puffing, passing because I love me some herbal inspiration. And I've always been someone that said that, and I don't have any problems with that. But happy sipping, puffing, passing, relaxing with my family because that was my friends and my family were my support system. That's, you know, we would hang out and have wine and weed parties and stuff like this, you know, and then dancing. Laughing, writing, singing, rocking to hot tracks like this. This was me saying, I'm not going to be caught up with your stuff anymore. I'm going to move on and find my life. And that my life at that time was being happy and having fun with my friends, starting this new journey with music and going on to do what I've done, you know? So that's what that song really was. It was a declaration. I'm not doing this no more. And not only am I not doing this with you, I'm going to decide how to make my life better. And these are the things I'm going to do to make my life better. Yeah.
But that's such an empowering anthem. Like listening to it, you know, I'm sure that it's helped so much women.
I hope so.
Yes.
Because I mean, I don't listen to my music, especially back then. Now I have to listen for arrangements and putting shows together and stuff like that. But back then I never would listen to the records. They were done, move on to new records, you know. I wouldn't even think, but I can't remember when the first 6 years of listening to Complex Simplicity, because I knew the songs verbatim, so I didn't have to go back to listen to them to put together shows or anything like that. And, but when I did, go back and listen, that was one that I saw that I wrote what I wanted, and that's exactly what happened.
Yes. Yeah. And even the Outkast sample on it as well. That's such a great choice.
Yeah, I'm a huge Outkast fan, particularly to that album with Spotty Yachty Dope Delicious on it. Yeah.
I'm like, I try and struggle to say that. And that's why I said that Outkast sample. I was like, I'm not even going to try.
I had to think about it.
So do you know what? Talking of what an incredible songwriter you are, you've written songs that really bring back so much memories for me. Songs like Tia Marie, Get Up On Your Gangsta, like Still In Love, Nivea, you got So Lady, Mary J. Blige, and Christina Milian, Dip It Low. When you were writing those songs, were they like for them artists, or were they just like you creating songs for yourself that ended up going to them?
I can say for sure that I wrote Mary J. Blige's Lady for her. But everything else was pretty much songs that I wrote for just wanting to get those emotions out. Christina Milian's Dip It Low was something I wrote, not particularly for myself. Me and Paulie just worked so much, and I had tracks, and I just thought that was a dope record. So I wrote that without thinking it was going to be mine or for someone else or anything. I just wrote the song. Get Up On Your Gangsta might have been written for her. Like it might have been written for her. But I didn't know her. So I wrote it from my perspective. But I think that record was written for her. And Still In Love was just making another Be A Girl. Because they wanted Be A Girl. And I wasn't going to give up Be A Girl. Thankfully, I didn't. I swear there was so many records people asked for, and I was like, oh, they can have it. And they were like, no, we're not giving that away. There were so many records people asked for. I was like, oh, yeah, I can make another one of those. But when it came to Be A Girl, I didn't. And it wasn't even my favorite song. But Still In Love was just a duplicate of my version of a duplicate of Be A Girl.
Yeah, because when I listen to that, even Get Up On Your Gangsta, like I can hear you singing it. And also, on Get Up On Your Gangsta, is your background still there? Because I feel like I
I
could
later
hear...
learned that my backgrounds were pretty much, I don't know if they were instilled in love. Because
yeah.
Nivea she don't need all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But not saying that other girls did, but maybe their labels felt like, oh, we like the way it sounds. But Nivea has like this particular sound that I think that they didn't want to leave mine on. But I learned that my backgrounds were on most of the records that I wrote and did a reference for.
I even remember that you had a version of Here We Go with Trina. Remember, you had a version of it as well.
Yeah, I didn't know that was leaked out because that wasn't supposed to. From the beginning, I knew I wasn't going to be on that record. Okay. I just wrote it, you know? And yeah, I didn't know that was out until probably about 7 years ago. Someone said, I like the version of You Better, which I don't. Let's be clear.
No, you killed it.
I think it's cool, but I sang it just to be a
demo.
reference.
Okay, yeah.
And I think that Kelly Rowland took it and made it her vibe, and I thought it was really great. And I have to say this. These songs that go to bigger artists, I love when they do. They have more support. They have more push. I'm going to make more money.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I love when they do. I would prefer they take the records. You know?
So do you know what? I noticed on Complex Simplicity that you worked with, is it Paulie? Paul Paulie. And he produced like the majority of the album pretty much. What do you feel are like some of the benefits of just locking in with one producer for a project?
A sound. A cohesive sound. No matter, like we spoke about D-Miles earlier off camera.
Yeah.
And no matter what style the song is, it remains in a sound. That's very hard to accomplish when you do. And I do work with different producers, but I try to find the instrumentation that I can link it all to keep the same sound. Because when you have one producer, that's Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones.
Exactly.
You know? That's Sade. As a collective, they have a sound because it's the same people making these records. That's most of the people back in the days, that's what they did. They didn't jump around from person to person. And I think the benefit of having one producer is just having a cohesive sound.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. Like Brandy and Darkchild.
Yeah.
Like Timbaland, Missy and Aaliyah. Like
exactly.
But you know what? Talking of Aaliyah, I want to talk about, I remember you saying that Rock the Boat, that kind of, did that inspire the kind of, well, that was like what you wanted your album to sound like?
To sound and feel like, yeah. It was an 80s sound. And I can't say particularly it was any other Aaliyah song, even though I loved Aaliyah. That song particularly, I wanted it to feel like that, you know, the rhythm, the sensual sexiness, the sweet singing, you know what I mean? And I was a big fan of Missy. Before Missy came out, I was writing songs, just not making them, but just writing them and writing over beats and stuff like that, because my son's father would have tracks laying around. And when Missy did come out, I was like, wow, she writes like how I write, in a sense of we write like we speak. Before that, people would write these songs. And they have to be poetic and we just, it was still poetry, but we wrote like we speak. And I was so impressed with what she had done. But that particular song, I feel like that is a perfect song. It's a perfect
I love that song. I love Aaliyah, and I completely agree. Like that song, I literally feel like you're floating. So I recently heard that Neo was around in some of these sessions, right? And helped vocal produce you. And I found that so fascinating because I had no idea.
All but one song he vocal produced and vocal arranged.
How did you guys get connected and like what did you learn from working with him?
Well, he was at the time on a production company with the production company that I was with. I learned a lot, to be honest with you. In retrospect, when I look back, I did Caught Up, the only song that I wrote by myself and arranged and vocal, did all that by myself. And all I could think of is the backing vocals just being 3-part, laying, nice and neatly. And it worked for that song. But what he did was show me, through doing it for me, how to paint colors all around your leads, how to, I was big at spacing. I wouldn't like put all these things into a verse. I would kind of like sing a line and then it'd be like space and then sing a line because I liked 80s R&B and that's kind of how they did it. And when I gave space, he gave color. He painted, And so he taught me I knew how to write a song. He taught me how to complete the vocals, and just a brilliant guy. He also taught me to be patient with myself. As a songwriter, it takes me a while sometimes to finish songs. If we go into the studio, I may finish 3 ideas. That's a verse and a hook, but I'm not going to finish the songs. And of those 3 songs, I'll probably take those 3 ideas. I'll probably take one and make a song. But this might be a week process, right?
Yeah.
Whereas he can go on and write 10 songs in a day. But what he said to me, and I'll never forget this, is one of the defining things for me accepting myself and my process. He said, but when you write that one song and when you complete that one song, it's a smash. You got one.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll just write 10 and maybe I got 3 out of it, which is still a better ratio than mine. But he gave me, and I respected him a lot, and he gave me the confidence to be okay with my process.
So do you know what? Talking of hits, I have to talk about Be Your Girl. Like, as a DJ, every set that I play, it's gonna be going, and everyone's gonna be singing along. And just, you know, Kate Chinada doing a remix recently as well, and introducing that song to a whole another audience. And I heard that song was inspired by a rapper. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it was inspired by Nas's character, Sincere, on Belly. I used to sit in this time when I was going through all these things in my life. I would sit on my sofa and I would elevate my mind, and I would watch Animal Planet. Okay. And I used to love to watch because this is back when Animal Planet actually showed you the animals, not like domestic animals that we could see on the street and stuff like that. They actually showed you animals in their habitat. And I would watch the pride of lions, and I would watch them, and I really got into, how the lioness functioned. If I wasn't watching Animal Planet, I was watching Belly.
Okay.
So, and I would sit there and watch Belly, and Sincere's character was just conducive to what I wanted in a man at the time. Yeah.
And have you seen Nas since?
We talked about it. And he was like, "How is that song about me?" He was like, "I don't understand how that song is about me." And the more I got into it, it was like, "Oh, okay, it's about his character, you know."
Yeah.
And I put myself in the movie. Don't know if you got a girl. Don't me see you all around my way. I wasn't around Nas like that, but I put myself into the character.
Yeah, you killed that song. That song is incredible. One of the best like R&B songs again. Like, you really have created so much classics. So do you know what? Let's talk about your taste in R&B. Okay, I want to know, what is your top 3 modern day R&B classic songs?
That's a tough one. I definitely love Daniel Caesar, and I think it's Kali Uchis. I think she's on that record.
Yes. Get You.
You don't know, babe.
Oh, Best Part with her.
Best Part. Yeah, with her. It's her.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
It's her on that record. I'm sorry. Yeah, I love that one. Yeah. I think that to me is comparable to D'Angelo and Lauryn Hill, you know, Nothing Even Matters. Great song. I think that my genuine opinion, we spoke about D Miles. I think that what's the record he has with Anderson .Paak and
Leave the Door Open, Silk Sonic?
No. I like Smoking Out.
Oh, yes.
I think that'll be good forever. The third one, modern. I don't know. It would probably be something from Lucky Day's first album. It's not coming to me right after. He has about 3 of them that I can list that are on playlists that haven't changed since it came out. But I'll just go with a Lucky Day and D-Mile. Yeah. You can't go wrong with that. You really can't.
Mm-hmm. So, Teedra, you're celebrating 20 years in the industry, and you're still going strong and touring. I want to know, like, what's next for you? Are you going to be releasing any new music?
Yeah, we just want to get done with the 20-year celebration, which will be done in August. So top of the year, I want to let it breathe. The stuff that we're doing a live show / documentary film for the 20 years, and we're doing a reimagined EP, 5 to 7 songs. So I want to let that stuff breathe for a minute, and then we'll come back at the top of the year, and I have a project called The BS, and there's 3 different EPs that go along with that. So we'll go from there.
Wow, I can't wait to hear that. Yeah. And you know what, Teedra, so I spoke about like just hearing Be Your Girl for the first time and your voice standing out, and I love a sweet tone. Mm-hmm. So I want to know, would you mind blessing r&bsauce with an acapella?
What do you want me to sing, baby? I'm taking requests.
Maybe Backstroke or No More Tears.
Oh, Poppy, I sit and think about all of the things that we go through, and I wonder why I stay with you, but there's something in your backstroke, and it keeps me earning you your backstroke.
Thank you so much. That was so beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for coming on R&B Sauce. Like,
Thank you for having me.
complex simplicity, like it really has made such an impact on my life, and it really changed R&B forever. And, you know, when you release your new music, I'm always going to be supporting you on R&B Sauce.
Thank you. And thank you for having a platform for R&B music.
Of course, I've studied it. It's my obsession.
Hey, there you go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Teedra.